Welcome to One Old Man's Opinion, Episode 5. I'm the old man. Today I'm going to talk about JK Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series, and the fun time she's having with the cancel crowd. Fair warning, I'm going to quote some wokeness, but be not afraid. It'll only take about a minute to get through it. Chris Columbus, the director of the Harry Potter movies, says it's impossible to reunite the Harry Potter cast for a new adaptation given J.K. Rowling's transphobia. Never going to happen. He said, everyone in the cast has their own opinion, which is different from her opinion, which makes it impossible. He goes on to say, I certainly don't agree with what she's talking about, but it's just sad. It's very sad. Daniel Radcliffe, who played Harry Potter, said in 2020, transgender women are women. Any statement to the contrary erases the identity and dignity of transgender people and goes against all advice given by professional healthcare associations who have far more expertise on this subject matter than either Joe or I, and are also collecting most of the money. Emma Watson, who played Hermione Granger in the Harry Potter movies, said trans people are who they say they are and deserve to live their lives without being constantly questioned or told they aren't who they say they are. There are several others who worked with J.K. on Harry Potter movies, but I think you get the idea, so I won't go through any of those. But she answers Chris Columbus directly in this very interesting response. Here's how it goes. Get out my teleprompter here. As another man who once worked with me declares himself saddened by my beliefs on gender and sex, I thought it might be useful to compile a list for handy reference. Which of the following do you imagine makes actors and directors who aren't involved with HBO reboot of Harry Potter so miserable? Is it my belief that women and girls should have their own public changing rooms and bathrooms? That women should retain female-only rape crisis centers? That men don't belong in women's sport? That female prisoners shouldn't be incarcerated with violent men and male sex offenders? That women should remain a protected class in law because they have sex-specific needs and issues? That language should reflect reality rather than ideological jargon, especially in a medical context? That women shouldn't be harassed, persecuted, or fired for refusing to pretend humans could change sex? That women should not be threatened with violence and rape when they assert their rights? That freedom of speech and belief are essential to a pluralistic democratic society? That troubled minors, especially those who are gay, autistic, and trauma experienced, should be given mental health support instead of irreversible surgeries and drug treatments based on non-existent evidence of benefit? That gay people shouldn't be pressured to include the opposite sex in their dating pools, nor should they be smeared as genital fetishists when they don't? That cross-dressing heterosexual male fetishists aren't actually oppressed, but are having the time of their lives, piggybacking off gender identity ideology. That said ideology and the privileged blinkered fools pushing it because they suffered zero consequences themselves have done more damage to the political left credibility than Trump and Farage could have achieved in this century. Pretty good list. There are two issues at hand here. One of them being transgender nonsense, or as a local broadcaster called it the other day, gender make-believe. And the other is cancel culture. Both of those have reared their ugly heads in this situation. First, let's go for the transgender nonsense. Anybody who is not as dumb as a brick, profoundly ignorant, crazy, or some combination of those, knows that there are two and only two sexes. Dva, zwei, de, dos, two. Some years ago, it became politically incorrect to use the word sex, so we switched off to gender. I'm going to return to the correct nomenclature. There are two sexes and three genders. Gender is a linguistic term, meaning masculine, feminine, or neuter. It applies to words, not to people. English doesn't make much use of gender, but many languages do, such as German, Russian, Spanish. Sex is the term we use to determine male and female. And of course, it's a noun and can be formed into either an adjective or an adverb as needed. Sex is determined at conception and is manifestly obvious at birth by examination of the genitalia. It cannot be changed. It is based on your chromosomes, every cell in the body denotes the sex of the whole organism. Whatever you are born with is what you will be for the rest of your life. Some people have a condition known as gender dysphoria, which should probably be called sexual dysphoria. And it is believed by some that they can swap to the other sex. Really? Seriously? Never mind that far and away the largest majority of children who have this issue outgrow it by the time they get through puberty. There's a large contingent of sadly misguided and or evil people who are exploiting this condition. People with this problem do not need affirming care. What they need is mental health treatment. The amount of willful blindness on this subject is staggering. And I think the public is starting to come around. 20 years from now, you might not be able to find anybody who will admit that they believe this junk. In the meantime, don't let anybody push you around. You know what the truth is. Stand for it. Stand up for it. Now for the cancel culture. Isn't it ironic that after all the $1 million made by this feckless crew off of JK Rowling's work, they're so brainwashed and so disconnected from reality that they're willing to throw her off the bus or under the bus or overboard maybe and bite the hand that feeds them because of this cultural nonsense. We need to be able to listen to what other people think. If we don't like what they say or what they believe, we don't have to agree with it. We can argue about it. We can even make fun of it. But to try to destroy people because you think they have a goofy idea is not part of civilized culture. Wake up, folks. Cancel culture has to go. So in this segment, before I'm done for the day, I'm going to talk about Five Guys Hamburgers. They're kind of hard to beat. they have one here within about 5 minutes of my house, so they get a lot of my attention. I got a two-patty hamburger, my fave. And while I was waiting, I got a little dish of peanuts to crack and pick at. One of the perks of going to Five Guys. I don't think I've ever run into another place that did that or anything like it. Anyway, sitting here in this big squishy chair, I'm likely to get an awful mess, but got to do this. These things can be a little drippy if you get a lot of stuff on them. The menu has many options. I don't think I've ever been to a burger place that had more choices what you can put on a hamburger. Besides the usual ketchup and mustard and onions and stuff, they have grilled onions, they have green pepper, they have hot sauce, they have barbecue sauce, they have A1 sauce, and so they can get pretty messy. This one here, I didn't get too many liquid drippies on this one, so I might actually survive it. But anyway, this is a Five Guys Two-Patty Hamburger. Obviously, it's a lot of hamburger. I don't get enough of these. They don't put a slice of onion on it like I'd like, but they do put a lot, so I don't complain. They do the lettuce right. You actually get some lettuce. Everything comes in a bag. One time I went in there and I asked for one to go. I got this kind little smile, like, obviously, mister, you haven't been paying attention, but polite. Well, everything we do is to go. Definitely premium. Everybody there seems to do everything in rotation. So they don't have to wait for somebody to come out of the back and tend the register or whatever. The only thing they cook up in advance is French fries. But if the fries have been around for 10 minutes or more, they dump them. Cook up some new ones. They're always fresh. I like their fries. It's pretty rare, but their fries are good enough to eat without ketchup. For me, that says something. I almost always get ketchup with my fries, but not there. Anyway, they don't have as many outlets as Burger King or McDonald's, but they're almost everywhere. You get around one. You haven't tried one. These are really superior hamburgers. One of my perpetual top 5. My favorite for today. I'm glad I have one close by, because if I didn't, I'd have to drive a ways. I'd be willing to. Hard to beat. Green pepper. Mrs. Old Man does not like green pepper on her hamburgers, but I do. You also have grilled mushrooms. I can't remember all the options. I've tried them all. I can put together a burger and it meets your mood, whatever you're into at the moment. They do it well. They do it in a fairly quick time. Everything is done from scratch. Nothing sitting in a warmer waiting. Highly recommend them. Five Guys. Please like and subscribe. Even better, share with your friends and enemies. Until next time, vade cum Dio.